So those forecasts in 2004, as I said, were based in part on the observation of prior developments, such as in Japan or in the UK. Even more so, these forecasts were based on reports from oil geologists going back to the 1950s and updated oil data throughout the 90s and early 2000s. I first published a warning about a decline in U.S. real estate prices in early 2003. I saw the change in lending behavior in credit markets in 2002 or by 2002, and I deduced the eventual consequences of that. At the time, I did not connect the change in lending behavior to the change in fuel prices or the behavior of people buying fuel. That connection for me, that logical recognition, was in 2004. In the article from 2004 shown below, I focused on a single question and the implications of that question on the U.S. economy and prices in the U.S. How many dollars will it cost to buy a gallon of gasoline next year? That was the core question of the 2004 article there. At the time, fuel prices, just to remind people, went up dramatically from 2004 to 2005 and continue into 2008. So many people have called some of my forecasts negative. For instance, if I say, real estate prices are likely to come down, and they're really, the real estate market is very risky, or the stock market is very risky, or oil prices might go up, many people would call all that negative. At least many Americans, maybe someone in Alaska or someone in Venezuela or Saudi Arabia or Kuwait might say, "That's great, oil prices are rising, awesome." But for a lot of people, it's not so great when oil prices are rising in the U.S. when the U.S. is a big importer of oil. In 1910 or 1940, when the U.S. is the number one producer of oil in the world, if I say oil prices are rising dramatically, people say, "Great," in the U.S. Maybe, I don't know. I wasn't around in 1910 or 1940, so can't comment further on that, but you get the idea. So many people have called a variety of my forecasts negative, like a lot of them were for decreases in prices. And a lot of them were for increases in prices. In fact, my forecasts of a drop in price in various markets were forecasts of negative price change for those markets. My forecast for rising prices for oil and gasoline, and even for the stock sector HUI in early 2003 when I forecast that, well, when I was forecasting rising prices for oil and gasoline, which is not all the time, I also forecast declines in those prices, but when I was forecasting increases in those prices, those were forecasts of a positive percent increase or gain, as in a rising price change. So is it negative? Is it positive? Well, that's kind of doesn't matter to me as a forecaster. The more important question to me is it accurate, and how can one adapt to it? In my 2003 publication, early 2003, I featured a U.S. stock sector that was doing much better than the rest of the U.S. stock market at that time. By 2010, the stock prices of that group of U.S. stocks was up over 1,600% from their low in the year 2000. That would be a positive change in price, 1,600% rise. Prices of those are 15 stocks, a group of 15 stocks. Prices of other things decreased or changed at a negative rate, like UK stock prices overall, or real estate prices, or something like that. So some forecasts are negative and some are positive. I actually already mentioned it, but let's just wonder, even though I already told you the answer, I didn't connect the dots too much and emphasize it. Which U.S. stock sector rose more than 1,600% last decade? Most people don't know. Today, most people don't know. Most professionals in the field of investments don't know. They don't know which U.S. stock sector rose more than 1,600% last decade. In early 2003, I was talking about it, saying, "This is a pretty good thing. You want to check this out? Watch it." Nevertheless, many people still don't know which U.S. stock sector rose more than 1,600% last decade. Now, right now, I also forecast that driving over speed bumps at 50 miles per hour can damage your car. We could call that forecast of a forecast of a negative consequence. It is not positive thinking to talk about how driving over a speed bump can damage a car. Positive thinking would be something else entirely, like thinking positively of driving 25 miles per hour in a school zone while actually driving 50 miles per hour in a school zone. So when will the economy of Japan recover to what it was when gas prices were 65 cents a gallon in Japan? It might not. When will driving over a speed bump at 50 miles per hour be safe? It might not. When will the economy of the UK or any other one recover to what they were when gas prices were 65 cents a gallon? When will driving over a speed bump at 50 miles per hour be safe? Well, it might not. Someone might say, though, yeah, but when is someone going to remove that horrible speed bump from that annoying school zone? Well, they might. However, the speed bump is there now. It's to be dealt with. It's to be adapted to. It's to be slowed down or, take a different route so you don't even drive through the school zone, right? Yeah, someone might respond. But when will gasoline be 65 cents per gallon again? Well, it might. However, it isn't that now. It's something else. Gasoline isn't 65 cents a gallon now. It's something else. So adapting to the actual current reality is something we could do rather than focus on, well, is it negative to say that it won't go back to 65% and 65 cents? And rather than focusing on, well, it might go back to 65 cents, who's to blame for it going up? Who can we depend on to have it go back down again? Can we elect the right politician and then it'll go back down again? Oh, that's possible. I'm not saying that someone can't lobby for a reduction in gas prices if you simply if there's a new law passed in the U.S. where everybody has to cut down their driving by 90%, gas prices will fall in the U.S. I'm not sure people really want just gas prices to fall in the U.S. though. Like any means necessary to produce that result, it's actually that's not really the issue. Anyway, right now, even if you lobby and campaign for something, right now gas prices are what they are, and they'll change over time, of course. But whatever they are now, that's what they are. That's to be adapted to and dealt with. So, in fact, gasoline prices are not the same everywhere. We mentioned that gas prices in Japan and in the UK were higher than in some other places like the US. Here's a table of gas prices here. Okay, there's a link to that table. And then there's a chart of proven oil reserves by country, and you'll see the USA right around the center of the chart from left to right. USA is around the center of the chart. I'm going to pause now and